The year is 1973. A young man from New Jersey, a Rutgers environmental science student named Billy Barr, makes a decision that will alter the trajectory of his existence and, in a modest yet significant manner, the trajectory of climate science itself. He abandons college and relocates to a forsaken silver mining shelter at 9,500 feet in Colorado's Rocky Mountains. The shelter sits in a phantom settlement called Gothic, a location deserted since the 1920s, a collection of deteriorating structures, slowly capitulating to savage elements. Wind screams through gaps in the walls, the floors expose dirt. His sole companions are a skunk and a pine marten. He is 23 years old, and he is utterly, completely isolated. He has arrived in the mountains pursuing solitude. Yet what he discovers is profound, life-altering tedium. And it is this tedium that will inadvertently transform him into one of the most significant citizen scientists of our era. Gothic, Colorado, is not territory for the timid. Nestled in an elevated valley at 9,500 feet, it is encircled by the serrated peaks of the Elk Mountains. In the 1880s, it was a prospering silver mining settlement with a population exceeding 1,000, complete with hotel, blacksmith establishment, and several taverns. Yet the silver was depleted. And by the early 20th century, Gothic was a phantom settlement. The structures were abandoned to decay, their hollow windows like vacant eyes, staring out at the merciless terrain. The winters are legendary. The region receives an average of 25 feet of snow annually, and temperatures can plunge to 20 or 30 degrees below zero or colder. It is among the coldest locations in the United States. This is the world Billy Barr selected as his residence. It was a world of profound magnificence and profound peril, a location where a simple error could be fatal. One winter in particular tested his determination, the winter of 1977 through 78. The snow commenced in late September and did not cease. Storm after storm entombed his shelter until it was little more than a protrusion in a vast white terrain. He had to tunnel from his entrance each morning, his world reduced to a series of white passages. The snow was so deep it bent trees to the ground. The silence was so profound he could hear blood pulsing in his ears. For weeks continuously, he witnessed no sun, only gray, featureless sky. The isolation was absolute. It was a winter that would have shattered a lesser individual. Yet for Billy, it was a challenge, a test of his capabilities and his spirit. He had his routine, his data, his books, his films. He had his purpose. When spring finally arrived and snow began melting, he emerged not broken, but hardened, a man who had confronted the worst the mountains could deliver and had not flinched. One afternoon, in his third winter, he was skiing back to his shelter when he heard a sound like thunder. He looked up and witnessed a river of snow pouring down the mountainside above him. It was an avalanche, a massive, unstoppable, natural force. He had only seconds to react. He threw himself flat on the ground behind a small rock outcropping, his heart pounding in his chest. The snow roared over him, a suffocating wave of white. When it concluded, he was buried. He was trapped in a coffin of snow, the weight of the mountain pressing down on him. Panic clawed at him, yet he fought it back. He remembered what he had read about avalanche survival. Stay calm. Conserve air. Try to dig your way out. He began to dig, his hands raw and frozen. After what felt like eternity, he broke through to the surface. He was alive. He was bruised and battered. Yet he was alive. The experience left him with profound respect for the power of the mountains and renewed determination to understand them. The phantom settlement of Gothic is more than merely a backdrop to Billy's narrative. It is a character in its own right. The decaying structures are constant reminder of the boom and bust cycle of the American West, of the fleeting nature of human ambition. Billy is the settlement's unofficial historian, its guardian. He has explored every crumbling cabin, every collapsed mine shaft. He knows the stories of the individuals who lived and died there, the miners who chased their dreams of silver, and the families who followed them into the wilderness. He feels a connection to them, a sense of kinship with these phantoms of the past. In a manner, he is one of them, a man out of time, living an existence that belongs to a different era. For a young man from the crowded suburbs of New Jersey, the transition to Gothic was a shock to the system. The sheer scale of the landscape was overwhelming, the silence unnerving. In New Jersey, the world was a cacophony of sounds, traffic, sirens, the constant hum of humanity. In Gothic, the silence was a physical presence, a weight that pressed in on him from all sides. The first few weeks were a blur of anxiety and second-guessing. He was a student of environmental science, yet he was a product of civilization. He had read about wilderness, yet he had never truly inhabited it. He had to learn a new language, the language of the mountains. He had to learn to read weather in clouds, to understand the meaning of a sudden temperature drop, to recognize the tracks of animals that shared his new residence. It was a steep learning curve, a crash course in survival that no textbook could have prepared him for. What pushes a 23-year-old to turn his back on society and embrace an existence of extreme isolation? For Billy Barr, it was not a single dramatic event, but a slow, creeping disillusionment with the world he was supposed to inherit. He was a child of the 60s, a time of social upheaval and questioning of authority. He witnessed a world obsessed with material wealth, a world rapidly destroying the natural environment he had come to cherish. He felt like a square peg in a round hole, a man who did not fit into the neat, prepackaged existence that society had laid out for him. The decision to relocate to Gothic was not an act of rebellion, but an act of self-preservation. It was a search for an existence that was more authentic, more meaningful, an existence lived on his own terms, not the terms of others. Existence in Gothic was not merely a battle against tedium and cold. It was constant negotiation with unseen dangers. The mountains are a location of immense power, and that power can be deadly. Avalanches were a constant threat, a reminder that the seemingly peaceful terrain could turn violent in an instant. He learned to read the snowpack, to recognize warning signs of an unstable slope. He learned to choose his routes carefully, to avoid the most dangerous terrain. Yet avalanches were not the only peril. There were also the animals. He shared his valley with bears, mountain lions, and wolverines. He learned to respect their space, to move through their world with quiet humility. He was not their master, but their guest. He was a man who had learned to live on the edge, to find balance between deep appreciation for wilderness beauty and healthy respect for its power to kill. His relationship with Gothic Mountain is one of deep intimacy. He has skied every inch of it, in every season, in every kind of weather. He knows its moods, its secrets, its dangers. He has witnessed it in the soft light of a summer morning and in the fierce grip of a winter blizzard. He has felt its power, its beauty, its indifference. The mountain has been his teacher, his adversary, his companion. It has taught him humility, resilience, and deep, abiding respect for the natural world. He is not merely a man who lives on a mountain. He is a man who has been shaped by a mountain, a man whose soul has been etched with the lines of its ridges and valleys. That first winter was brutal education. The snows arrived in October and did not relent until May. The world shrank to the four walls of his tiny shelter. The isolation was absolute, broken only by wind and the scuttling of his animal roommates. To keep his mind from unraveling, he started a journal. Yet it was not a journal of feelings and emotions. It was a journal of facts. He started measuring the snow. Every morning at 9 o'clock, he would go out with a ruler and measure the depth of new snow, the total depth on the ground. He recorded the temperature. He noted the day the first robin returned in spring, the day the first marmot emerged from the hibernation, the day the first avalanche lily pushed its way through melting snow. He did it not for science, but for sanity. Hell no, he would later say when asked if he knew he was collecting climate data. I didn't know anything about climate change at the time. He was simply a man trying to find a rhythm, a purpose in an existence of profound isolation. His methods were simple, yet his consistency was extraordinary. Every morning, without fail, he would strap on his skis and make his way to his weather station, a small fenced-in area a short distance from his shelter. He would measure the depth of new snow with a ruler and total depth of snowpack with a long pole. He would record high and low temperatures from a thermometer. He would note the date of the first robin song, the first appearance of a marmot, the first bloom of an avalanche lily. He kept his records in a series of notebooks, his neat, precise handwriting, a testament to his dedication. He was not merely recording numbers. He was chronicling the life of the valley. He was creating a story written in the language of data, of the subtle, year-to-year changes in the world around him. The notebooks tell a story of a world in flux. The first appearance of the broad-tailed hummingbird, a tiny iridescent jewel that migrates thousands of miles, has shifted earlier by nearly a month. The yellow-bellied marmot, a large ground squirrel that hibernates for 8 months of the year, is emerging from its burrow on average 24 days earlier than it did in the 1970s. The avalanche lily, a delicate white flower that blooms at the edge of melting snow, is now appearing in late April instead of mid-May. Each of these individual data points is a thread in a larger tapestry of change. The hummingbirds are arriving before the flowers they depend on for nectar have bloomed. The marmots are emerging into a world that is still in winter's grip. The delicate timing of the ecosystem, a dance that has been perfected over millennia, is being thrown into disarray. Billy's data is the chronicle of this unraveling. Phenology, the study of the timing of seasonal events in nature, is a science of subtlety. It is a science of observation, of paying attention to the small, seemingly insignificant changes that signal the turning of seasons. Billy Barr is a master of this science. He has an intuitive understanding of the intricate web of relationships that connects the plants, animals, and climate of his mountain residence. He knows that the arrival of hummingbirds is not merely a random event, but a carefully choreographed dance with the blooming of flowers. He knows that the emergence of marmots is a gamble, a bet that the long winter is finally concluded. His data has given scientists a new appreciation for the complexity of these relationships and for the profound ways in which they are being disrupted by climate change. One of the most influential studies to use Billy's data was a 2006 paper published in the journal Ecology by David Inouye and his colleagues. The paper, titled "Climate Change is Affecting Altitudinal Migrants and Hibernating Species," used Billy's records to show a direct link between rising temperatures and the behavior of local wildlife. They found that marmots were emerging from hibernation, on average, 24 days earlier than they had in the 1970s. This was a startling discovery. The marmots were waking up to a world that was not yet ready for them. The plants they relied on for food had not yet bloomed, leaving them vulnerable to starvation. The study was a wake-up call, a clear and undeniable piece of evidence that climate change was not some abstract future threat, but a present-day reality with profound ecological consequences. And it was all thanks to the meticulous records of a man who was simply trying to keep himself from going crazy with tedium. Billy's data is more than merely a collection of numbers. It is a work of art. It is a testament to the power of patient, sustained observation. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and quick fixes, Billy's 50-year project is a radical act. It is a reminder that true understanding does not come from a single, brilliant insight, but from the slow, patient accumulation of knowledge over time. It is a reminder that the most profound truths are often hidden in the most mundane details. Billy's gift is not merely his data, but his way of seeing the world. He has taught us to look closer, to pay attention to the small, seemingly insignificant details that make up the fabric of our world. He has taught us that the world is a book, and that every day is a new page waiting to be read. The notebooks themselves are beautiful objects, a testament to an existence of quiet dedication. The pages are filled with his neat, precise handwriting. The columns of numbers a testament to his daily ritual. Yet they are more than merely a collection of data. They are a work of art. They are a portrait of a location, a landscape captured in the language of numbers. They are a story of a man's relationship with the natural world, a story of love, of loss, of deep and abiding connection to a location he has called residence for 50 years. They are a reminder that the most important stories are often the quietest ones, the ones written not in grand gestures, but in the small daily acts of an existence lived with purpose and passion. For over 40 years, this was his existence. He was the sole year-round resident of Gothic. He became the settlement's self-appointed mayor and chief of police, joking that he held elections every year, but never told anyone when they were. He worked odd jobs at the nearby Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, RMBL, a research station that came alive with scientists in summer but was deserted in winter. He was their unofficial caretaker, their plumber, their electrician, their dishwasher. He would ski 8 miles into the town of Crested Butte for supplies, a journey that was both a physical ordeal and social one. Towns can be kind of stressful, he admitted. He developed a routine. He would wake at 3:30 in the morning, listen to old-time radio shows, clear snow off his solar panels, and then meticulously record his data. The rest of the day was a cycle of chores, skiing, and in the evenings, a carefully chosen reward, a favorite meal, a book, or a film from his extensive collection. His shelter, once a primitive shack, slowly evolved. He added a film room with a projector and carpeted walls. He had 3 chairs, one for himself and 2 for guests he never invited. He became a connoisseur of fluff-oriented films, his favorites being The Princess Bride and Hugh Grant romantic comedies. He found that films were a powerful tool for mood adjustment. If he was stressed, he would watch something cute and animated. If he was depressed, he could reverse it with a dose of cinematic optimism. He ditched traditional holidays but celebrated his own, January 17th, the day the sunrise returned to its solstice time, a sign that days were getting longer and his work would be easier. He embraced his grumpiness, finding certain satisfaction in complaining about snow in a region where everyone else worshipped it. He was a modern-day hermit, a man who had crafted an existence of solitude on his own terms. Imagine a day in the existence of Billy Barr in the dead of winter. He wakes at 3:30 in the morning in the absolute darkness and silence of his shelter. He listens to the radio, then prepares for the day. The first task is to clear snow from his solar panels, his sole source of electricity. Then he skis to his weather station to take his daily measurements. The rest of the day is a mix of chores and work. He might need to chop wood for his stove, repair a piece of equipment, or work on a project for RMBL. In the afternoon, he might go for a long ski, exploring the silent, snow-covered valleys. The evenings are his reward. He might cook a special meal, something he saved from his last trip to town. Then he settles in for a film. He has a list of over 350 favorites, mostly romantic comedies and Bollywood films. He chooses a film based on his mood, a form of self-prescribed therapy. This is not an existence of idleness. It is an existence of routine, of purpose, of self-reliance. What does 50 years of solitude do to a human mind? For Billy Barr, it was not a descent into madness, but a journey into a different kind of sanity. He learned to distinguish between being alone and being lonely. He was alone, yet he was not lonely. His world was populated not by people, but by the rhythms of the natural world. The arrival of the first hummingbird was a major social event. The changing colors of the aspen trees were dramatic spectacle. He developed a deep personal relationship with the landscape around him. He knew every ridge, every valley, every avalanche chute. He knew the moods of the mountain, the way light changed with seasons, the sound of wind in the pines. This deep connection to location became his anchor, his community. He was not a hermit hiding from the world. He was a man who had found his world, a world that was richer and more meaningful to him than the one he had left behind. In the early years, Billy's solitude was a social experiment of one. He was curious to see what would happen to his mind without constant input of other people. He found that his thoughts became clearer, his perceptions sharper. He learned to listen to the subtle cues of his own body, to trust his own instincts. He became his own best friend, his own confidant. He learned that he was not defined by his relationships with others, but by his relationship with himself. It was profound and liberating discovery. It was the discovery that he was enough. His routine is not merely a way to pass time. It is a survival strategy in a world of extreme isolation. Routine is the anchor that keeps the mind from drifting into the abyss of despair. It provides structure in a world that has none. It creates sense of purpose in an existence that could easily feel meaningless. Each task, from chopping wood to recording data, is a small victory, a reaffirmation of his ability to survive and thrive in a hostile environment. It is a form of meditation, a way of focusing the mind on the present moment, on the task at hand. In the silence of the mountains, the routine is the heartbeat of his existence, a steady, reassuring rhythm in a world of chaos. Solitude is a double-edged sword. It can be a source of profound peace and clarity, yet it can also be a breeding ground for despair. Billy has known both sides of the sword. There have been times when silence has been deafening, when isolation has felt like physical weight. There have been times when he has questioned his choice, when he has longed for the simple comfort of human companionship. Yet he has always found his way back to the center, to the quiet strength that comes from an existence of self-reliance. He has learned to ride the waves of his emotions, to accept the darkness as well as the light. He has learned that true freedom is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to face it with courage and grace. He learned that silence is not the absence of sound, but a sound in its own right. There is the deep, muffled silence of heavy snowfall, when the world seems to be holding its breath. There is the sharp, brittle silence of a sub-zero night, when the air is so cold it seems to crackle. There is the expectant silence of a spring morning, broken by the first tentative notes of a robin's song. He learned to listen to these silences, to understand their nuances. They became part of his inner landscape, a soundtrack to his existence of solitude. In a world that is increasingly noisy and distracting, Billy Barr's story is a reminder of the power of silence, of the wisdom that can be found in quiet locations. Yet all the while, the notebooks were filling up. Year after year, decade after decade, the data accumulated. It was a treasure trove of information, a continuous, unbroken record of the climate and phenology of a high-altitude ecosystem. And it was sitting in a shelter, unknown to the scientific world. That changed in the late 1990s. David Inouye, an ecologist at RMBL, was studying the relationship between climate change and the flowering of plants. He, like other scientists, was hampered by lack of long-term data. He knew Billy had been keeping records, yet he did not know the extent of them. When he finally witnessed the notebooks, he was stunned. Here, in the meticulous handwriting of a man who was simply trying to beat tedium, was the key to understanding the profound changes that were happening in the mountains. Billy's data became the bedrock of a new understanding of climate change in the Rockies. It allowed scientists to see for the first time the long-term trends that were hidden in the year-to-year noise of weather. They could see that average winter temperature had risen. They could see that snow was melting on average 2 weeks earlier than it had in the 1970s. They could see that the first flowers were blooming on average 3 weeks earlier. These were not small changes. They were signs of massive ecosystem-wide shift. The plants and animals of the high mountains were in a delicate dance with seasons, and the music was changing. Billy's data was the Rosetta Stone that allowed scientists to translate the new music. It was used in studies on everything from the timing of marmot hibernation to the impact of earlier springs on hummingbird survival. Billy Barr, the man who simply wanted to be alone, had become an indispensable part of the global conversation about climate change. Billy Barr is not a Luddite. He is a model of modern high-altitude self-sufficiency. His shelter is a marvel of ingenuity. It is powered by solar panels, which provide him with electricity for his lights, his computer, and his beloved film projector. He has a satellite internet connection, which allows him to upload his data and communicate with the outside world. He has a greenhouse where he grows fresh vegetables, a remarkable feat in a location with such a short growing season. He is a master of improvisation, a man who can fix anything with a roll of duct tape and a bit of ingenuity. His existence is a blend of the old and the new, a testament to the fact that self-sufficiency in the 21st century does not mean rejecting technology, but embracing it on your own terms. His greenhouse is a testament to his ingenuity. It is a simple structure built from salvaged windows and scrap lumber, yet it is a marvel of passive solar design. It is oriented to catch the maximum amount of winter sun, and it is insulated with bales of straw. In this small, protected space, he is able to grow a variety of vegetables even in the depths of winter. He grows lettuce, spinach, kale, and herbs. It is a small patch of green in a world of white, a symbol of existence in the face of a harsh and unforgiving environment. It is a reminder that with a little bit of knowledge and a lot of ingenuity, It is possible to create a small pocket of abundance, even in the most unlikely of locations. His shelter is more than merely a shelter. It is a living museum of his existence. Every object tells a story. The worn armchair where he reads his books, the shelves lined with his favorite films, the walls covered with maps and charts, the kitchen table where he has eaten thousands of meals alone. It is a space that has been shaped by his hands and his habits, a reflection of his personality and his passions. It is a location of comfort and familiarity, a sanctuary from the harshness of the outside world. It is the heart of his kingdom, the center of his universe. The shelter's transformation from derelict shack to comfortable residence is a story of perseverance and ingenuity. The first winter, he stuffed the cracks in walls with newspaper and rags, a futile attempt to keep biting wind at bay. He slept in a sleeping bag on the dirt floor, his breath crystallizing in frigid air. Over the years, he slowly, methodically improved his dwelling. He learned carpentry, masonry, and electrical wiring from books and trial and error. He insulated the walls, installed a wood-burning stove, and built a proper floor. The addition of solar panels in the 1980s was a game-changer, providing him with power to light his residence and run a small computer. The film room with its projector and sound system was a luxury, a reward for years of hard work. The greenhouse was his final masterpiece, a symbol of his ability to create a small pocket of civilization in the wilderness heart. The shelter is not merely a building. It is a testament to his resilience, a physical manifestation of his 50-year journey. His relationship with the Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory is a story of symbiosis. In the early years, he was an outsider, a curiosity. The scientists who came to Gothic in summer would see him from a distance, the strange, bearded man who lived in the old mining shack. Yet over time, they came to respect him. They witnessed his deep knowledge of the local environment, his uncanny ability to predict weather, his encyclopedic knowledge of local flora and fauna. He became an invaluable resource, a living library of the valley's natural history. He would help them with their research, pointing them to the best locations to find a rare flower or a nesting bird. In return, they gave him connection to the outside world, a sense of community, a purpose beyond his own survival. He was their caretaker, their guide, their friend. He was the spirit of the location, the human embodiment of the wild, untamed landscape they had come to study. The scientists of RMBL became his tribe, his intellectual community. They were a group of individuals who shared his passion for the natural world, his curiosity about its inner workings. They would gather in his shelter in the evenings, drinking tea and talking about their research. They would ask him about his observations, eager to tap into his deep well of local knowledge. For Billy, these conversations were a lifeline, a connection to a world of ideas he had left behind when he dropped out of college. He was not a trained scientist, yet he had the heart of one. He had the patience, the curiosity, the meticulous attention to detail that are the hallmarks of a great observer. The scientists recognized this. They saw him not as a hermit, but as a colleague, a fellow traveler on the path of discovery. Billy's data was a revelation. It showed with undeniable clarity that climate in the Rockies was changing. The winters were getting shorter, the snow was melting earlier, spring was arriving sooner. The data was used in dozens of scientific papers. It provided the historical context that had been missing. It showed that the changes scientists were observing were not merely random fluctuations, but part of a long-term trend. Billy Barr, the accidental scientist, had provided some of the most important evidence of climate change in the American West. Today, Billy Barr is in his 70s. He still lives in his shelter in Gothic. He still measures the snow every day. He has 2 new hips, which help him get around. He is no longer a complete hermit. He has a website where he posts his data. He is the subject of a documentary, The Snow Guardian. He is a reluctant celebrity in the world of climate science. Yet, at his core, he is the same man who 50 years ago chose an existence of solitude in the mountains. He is a man who, in his quest to understand his own small world, ended up helping the rest of the world understand the profound changes that are happening to our planet. His story is a powerful testament to the fact that sometimes the most important discoveries are made not in a laboratory, but by a single, curious individual paying close attention to the world around them. The irony of Billy Barr's existence is that in his quest for solitude, he became a celebrity. He has been featured in the New York Times, The Guardian, and National Geographic. He is the star of a documentary. He is a hero to climate scientists and a guru of social distancing. He finds the attention amusing, yet also a bit bewildering. He is a man who is more comfortable with the company of marmots than with the company of people. Yet he understands the importance of his story. He knows that his data is a powerful tool in the fight against climate change. And so he reluctantly steps into the spotlight, a quiet, unassuming man with powerful message. Pay attention. Pay attention to the world around you. You never know what you might discover. Billy Barr's legacy is twofold. He is a scientific pioneer, a man whose meticulous records have provided a crucial window into the impacts of climate change. Yet he is also a philosophical pioneer, a man who has shown us that it is possible to live an existence of purpose and meaning outside the confines of modern society. He has shown us that solitude can be a source of strength, not of madness. He has shown us that an existence of simplicity can be an existence of richness. He is a reminder that the most important things in existence are not things at all, but the connections we forge with ourselves and with the natural world. Billy's existence is a stark contrast to the frenetic, hyper-connected world that most of us inhabit. He is a man who has chosen to disconnect, to live an existence of quiet observation rather than constant stimulation. He is a reminder that there is a world beyond our screens, a world of subtle beauty and profound meaning that is only revealed to those who are willing to slow down and pay attention. His story is a challenge to our modern obsession with productivity and efficiency. It is a reminder that there is value in stillness, in solitude, in the simple act of being present in the world. What will happen to the data when Billy Barr is no longer able to collect it? It is a question that weighs on the minds of the scientists who have come to rely on his work. RMBL has begun to install automated weather stations to supplement Billy's data, yet they cannot replace the human element, the keen eye of a man who has spent a lifetime observing the subtle changes in his environment. Billy's data is a legacy, a gift to the future. It is a story that will continue to be told, a story of a man who, in his quest for solitude, ended up giving the world a priceless gift, a deeper understanding of our changing planet. Gothic is no longer the phantom settlement it once was. RMBL has expanded, and there are now more scientists and students living and working there than ever before. The world has discovered Billy Barr, and with him, the remote valley he calls residence. The future of Gothic is uncertain. Will it become a tourist destination? A location where individuals come to catch a glimpse of the famous hermit? Or will it remain a location of science and solitude, a sanctuary for those who seek to understand the natural world? Whatever the future holds, one thing is certain. Gothic will forever be marked by the quiet, unassuming man who, for 50 years, was its sole inhabitant, its guardian, its chronicler. As Billy Barr enters his 8th decade, the question of his legacy becomes more pressing. Who will carry on his work when he is no longer able to? The automated weather stations can collect the data, yet they cannot replicate the human element, the intuitive understanding of a man who has spent a lifetime in a single location. Billy's story is a reminder that science is not merely about numbers and graphs. It is about people. It is about the passion, the curiosity, the dedication of individuals who are driven to understand the world around them. Billy Barr is one of those individuals, a man who, in his quest for a simple existence, ended up making a profound contribution to our understanding of the complex and fragile world we all share. Billy Barr's story is a powerful reminder that one person can make a difference in a world facing unprecedented environmental challenges. It is easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel that our individual actions are insignificant. Yet Billy's story shows us that this is not true. His simple daily act of observation, sustained over a lifetime, has had a profound impact on our understanding of climate change. He is testament to the power of citizen science, to the idea that we all can be part of the solution. He is a reminder that the most powerful tool we have in the fight for a better future is our own curiosity, our own passion, our own willingness to pay attention to the world around us. In the end, the story of Billy Barr is not merely about the data or the solitude or the science. It is about a man who found his location in the world, a man who created an existence of purpose and meaning in the most unlikely of circumstances. It is a story about the power of a single individual to make a difference, to leave a legacy that will endure long after he is gone. It is a story that reminds us that the wilderness is not merely a location to be conquered or exploited, but a location to be listened to be learned from, to be loved,